Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And Octane is not necessarily a happy bunny at the present time. There's been a lot of discussion these last couple of days. The fact that Seattle seem to have looked so much better in a LAN environment, Octane especially, but still they probably will not be going to the World Championship. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always. I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. And talking, of course, of points and standings at the present time. This comes out from Clayster I thought was remarkable after the results that we've had this past weekend. So, well, New York are at 310 points. Toronto is now at 315. Dallas are guaranteed at least 320. They do end up on 320 after failing to beat FaZe right to the end. But of course, it was a crazy series. If FaZe beats Dallas in the finals, this next stage is going to be insane for the second seed. Literally a 10-point difference between three teams. And indeed, that is exactly what happened. So FaZe are just miles ahead. 465 points. I mean, look at this win-loss. 30 series wins, 4 series losses the entire season. This is just unprecedented stuff. Second is Dallas, though, at 21 and 15, but they have 320 points. Ultra have 315. Subliners have 310. Now, a lot of people keep talking about the fact that this second seed is very important. Apparently, it gets you some sort of buy in the bracket for the World Championship. So, obviously, that's what you want to get. So, there's going to be an incredible brawl over that second seed. And Dallas had a great result this major to put themselves back right in the pole position, I suppose. And, well, here's OpTic Chicago down in 5th with a pretty big difference between them and the rest of the teams in the league at the present time. So, 5th seems to be locked up for OpTic, but if they can have a great result, then they might be able to, make it in the top 4, which probably gives you somewhat beneficial seeding situation than being in 5th, given there's only 8 teams that make it to the World Championship. We'll talk about some of these teams at the bottom here in just a few minutes' time, but more than likely, the top 8 are now locked up to go. Now, I wanted to talk about roster mania real quick. I did mention earlier today the fact that there are now a few days of teams to make changes if they want to before the beginning of Stage 5, then rosters locked for the rest of the season. But on the amateur side, we've got Saints, Slacked, Hamza, and Methods, new faces of this Western organisation, so definitely some roster changes going on down the challenger side as we see every single time. Now, before we get into the Octane stuff, did want to mention this once again because it was a big discussion yesterday once again of the fact that the winners bracket team not getting a map advantage. FaZe ended up winning the series, but if it had gone to Dallas, big questions I think would have been raised, right? Because FaZe come through winners with no advantage at all, not even a 1-0 advantage. They of course have the V2 advantage, but in a best of 9, I'm not really sure that constitutes too much difference. As Clay says, like barely any advantage, actually a disadvantage if anything, because of course the team comes through with all the momentum from the loser side, which is pretty much exactly what we saw. As well, you can see Dallas come out 250-202. Seemed like FaZe were relatively slow early on, and then immediately Dallas are 1-0 up in the series, right? Where if there was a 1-0 advantage for the team from winners bracket, at least then it would be tied, and that's obviously what we saw at the World Championship last year. So definitely some interesting questions still remaining about this. I think FaZe deserved the victory most certainly. They played phenomenal Call of Duty, but well, you do have to think about the fact that maybe Dallas Empire should have been at a 1-0 disadvantage because they already lost a series in the tournament. So it's just something that tends to happen and a big discussion. I'm not really sure why the CDL seem to not want to go down this route. Morks isn't very happy with it either. Of course, Clayster comes out with the monocle emoji after they do indeed win that first map to the Dallas Empire because the Red Hot Losers bracket team comes in with all the momentum most certainly. Now, FeLo doesn't necessarily agree, like you get a heavy V2 advantage. If a team has a great map pool, then it becomes less relevant, but still a discussion which is going to continue to rage on, and I do wonder why the CDL doesn't decide, okay, yeah, fair enough, lads, you've made your point. I'm pretty sure if the pros got to decide, the pros would 100%, to my knowledge, give a 1-0 advantage for the team from the winner's side. I think that's what most of the pros would want, but the CDL, I'm not sure whether they think it's just too complicated for fans to understand, or exactly what their motive is, but it also means that there's 4 S&Ds in a best of 9, which I'm not necessarily sure is the way we want to go either. So there's definitely some issues with this. We have talked about it before, but just yesterday was a great showing of why the issues can arise and why the complaints are there with with the fact that they did go all the way down to the wire, and Dallas almost won that series, right, despite not having any disadvantage, you could well argue. Clayster says the following: somewhere Jacob and Enable are still chanting, trust the process, because Los Angeles Thieves in a tough spot. Will they make some changes? Will Drazah come in for TJ? Those are still some questions that remain at the present time. I suppose we will have to see how things develop over the coming weeks. Let's talk, though, about the Seattle situation. This is a fun fact from Breaking Points. Florida are in 8th place right now, 170 points. LAG are in 9th place. Well, they would be in 9th, they actually are in 9th place this season, but they would be in 9th place anyway, even if you include all of their points from last season as well. And Seattle would be in 10th if you added on their 50 points from last season, which is just ridiculous to think about that, how poorly those seasons have gone for those two squads. And this, of course, is what we looked at a couple of minutes ago. Now, at the bottom side of things, Seattle still in last place, 80 points. Royal Ravens also at 80 points. Paris at 90 points. Los Angeles Guerrillas at 100 points. Now, none of these teams, it seems, are going to be able to make it to the World Championship. If we look at it through the lens of, let's just say Seattle come into this next major, and they come into the next stage. They go 5-0 in their group, then they win the major. That gives them 125 points, 75 from the major victory, 50 points from winning the 5 games. That would put them as, 125 plus 8, that put them at 205. And Mutineers right now, who are the 8th place team, are on 170. So Mutineers, all they have to do is win like 4 series this stage, which is maybe not so easy, but if you just win 4 series, then you guarantee yourselves, you guarantee that you're going to beat Surge, let's just say. So, but pretty much, if Surge lose a couple of series back on the online arena, then it's not going to be long before they are officially out of the running for the World Championship. And of course, it does technically come down to the wire, right? Because maybe we go to the major and there's still a chance that Seattle win the entire thing and make top 8, but I mean, relatively unlikely maybe. So, anyway, we'll just have to see how things go. But still, a lot of these bottom tier teams are bottom tier teams for a reason, and Octane is not particularly happy because this weekend Seattle did look somewhat improved. Now, I think this may be getting overblown to some degree because at the end of the day, Seattle had 2 great series, 2 very comfortable victories, but they were against Ravens and Paris, right? They weren't against the top tier squads by any means. As soon as they went on to play a good team like OpTic, then, they lost game 5 and they would have probably had a similar result, if not much worse, against some of the top tier teams that we saw at this event. But this is what Octane has to say. Man, this weekend really just makes me think, what if we played on LAN even more? Cannot wait to watch champs after getting destroyed online all year. So, of course, look, we're back to online now for the next 3 weeks, I suppose, of the online, like, major seeding, group play type stuff, the home series as they call them, and then we're back to LAN for the major again, which may well be a format that they decide to go through in future years as well. But as Octane says, look, I think maybe part of this is mental as well, because Octane has been, he's obviously frustrated with online. He comes to LAN, he believes he's going to be a god, and he absolutely destroyed people on LAN this past weekend in pretty much all the series he played. We'll have a look at the stats here in a couple of minutes' time. But online is clearly a crucial part, and the best teams, the likes of FaZe, they don't care, right? They dominate online, they dominate on LAN. That's just what they do, and from their perspective, it doesn't really seem to make too much difference. But Octane's not happy. Literally go from dead last, no hope every series to frying it because we're not online anymore. It's just a tease. I gotta watch champs this year. It is just too funny. So, I mean, look, as he's saying, like, online, they just get completely fried, nothing they can do about it, but then on LAN, all of a sudden they're frying, right? It's probably more to it than that, right? Like, I think it's more of a mental thing in a way that Octane's probably super confident on LAN, and therefore that's one of the reasons why he looked so much better, as he certainly did look so much better. At the same time, I don't necessarily think Seattle as a team were that much better. Like, they played a little bit better, certainly, but Octane dropped like a 1.6 and a 1.7 in his couple of series. It's going to be hard to lose a series when Octane's doing that, and then as soon as he doesn't drop those numbers, they lose in the game 5. So, I mean, look, it's just interesting to see, I think, but I can honestly understand Octane's frustrations, right? I think everyone wanted more LAN. I think Octane is certainly a great player in a LAN environment. There's a few players who improved massively this past weekend on an individual level, but still not enough for Seattle, and probably they won't be able to play champs in a LAN environment. So it may well be the case that this next Stage 5 major is going to be the last LAN event that these guys play this entire season, which obviously is tough, right, given how much better Octane individually looked. But I mean, still, there's some discussion here on whether exactly they did look that much better. I mean, at the end of the day, they beat London and Paris, not exactly the most impressive victories in the world. And this is some discussion between Maven and Octane right here, and it does get somewhat heated on the timeline. 100%, not saying it's the match show by any stretch, that being formal, but he's certainly playing better than he has been as of late. Weird. I don't get how players that always fried before this online stuff are frying on LAN again. It is so random. So a little bit of sarcasm right here from Octane, saying that, look, I don't understand how, these players that were super good before, on LAN, let's just say, that haven't been so good online, now they're back to frying, like, what a strange set of events, because he probably considers himself one of those players. Bro, let's not pretend that these results are crazy. We did look at it earlier today, right, the results that, at the end of the day, like, pretty much what you might expect coming into an event like this. Matt got fried by Dallas, you beat London and Paris. Online is a factor, but let's not go crazy. Everything so far from a results standpoint is pretty normal, and everything pretty much equated what you might expect online and what you might expect on LAN. Yeah, you're right, this is another bit of sarcasm from Octane. There's not much of a change at all, and people wouldn't take both London and Paris over us, and we wouldn't normally lose those series online, which is, maybe they would lose those series online, maybe they wouldn't, like, sometimes it's pretty close between those two teams. I wouldn't say that Seattle are definitely going to lose those series online. Sometimes they probably win them online, sometimes they lose them online. On LAN, maybe they win them more often, right? Maybe they are somewhat improved. But and maybe you could say that if Seattle had gone on to win this major, I think Looney made a pretty good point actually on the flank a couple of days ago. But let's say Seattle went on a crazy run and won this entire major, they still probably wouldn't be going to the World Championship, right? So maybe there needs to be a way that if you win an event at the very least, then you still can make it. We also didn't super hard throw the game 5 for a reverse sweep against OpTic, which is true that he kind of threw that one away. So Octane certainly saying, look, they looked a lot better. They went down to the wire. At the end of the day, the results of this stage didn't necessarily look particularly spectacular. Is that enough to say that these guys should have been on LAN? But maybe it is, right. There's been a lot of arguments saying, yes, Seattle were clearly improved. There should be a way to just allow all these teams to the World Championship to see what they can do on LAN, rather than relying on some of the implications of these online results. At the same time, I don't really think there'd be too much difference, but that remains up in the air. You should be beating them online, says Maven. It's far more a mental thing. You cannot get out of your own goddamn head. But think what you will. I don't care if all teams are there for champs. It is whatever. I just hate how overplayed online versus LAN is at times. It's not overplayed, says Ryan Mallons. It's a factor. It's just not that huge. Players should be thankful we're able to compete at all. That they had jobs the entire time when many lives were destroyed instead of whining, says Maven. So quite the thread, to be honest, all things considered. And well, this is what Octane says as well. I'm actually so tight right now. Cannot believe what's going on. They just need to make champs every team again. This week has proven it's just different. Every team deserves to be there, says Beastball Josh. Let's call it a payment for putting up with online. Definitely agree, says Silly, understandably, so he's on LAG. All teams should be at champs, especially with 90% of the year being online. Doesn't make much sense that it was last year and not this one. All teams should be there in winners, and top teams should ever have at most one round bye. The current format is whack, the most whack it has ever been, says Silly in reply on the timeline. This, of course, the result for Seattle Surge, losing to OpTic Chicago in the end. They fall 7th through 8th in this tournament as it finishes off. This I thought was pretty crazy though. So these are the statistics from the weekends. So this is the 3 series they played. Of course, Classic and Prestinni, I mean, not too much difference here, to be honest, with what we see on LAN and online, but it was Octane who really was the difference maker, right? A 1.46 in hardpoint, a 1.57 in search and destroy, a 1.16 in control over the weekend. So remarkable, well, performances really from Octane, but still, as a team, not exactly where they want to be, and probably still won't make it to the World Championship. What do you guys think? Do you think they should be allowed to make it? Do you guys think that every single team should go to the World Championship as it was last year? I think I'd prefer to see that, but at the same time, like, at least it means that the online tournament means something, right? At least it means that the entire season has led up to something. The fact that you can't make the World Championship if you don't get top 8. Now, of course, it's the disparity between online and LAN, which is going to have pro players questioning whether that should be the case. Now we're back to LAN in some capacity, but still, I think if you get rid of the fact that some teams don't qualify, then you kind of eliminate the importance of the entire season and these matches we've been playing for these last several months. So interesting nonetheless. Thought this is kind of crazy as well. This is, of course, on the championship Saturday, where FaZe were playing up against the Toronto Ultra, and he shot this Hellstorm out of the sky. I thought maybe he did actually intend to shoot it, but you can see right here he takes out Kleenex, I'm pretty sure, and the Hellstorm was coming down, and he actually, you can't even see it in theater mode right here, but he actually shot it in midair as it's coming down through. So like he somehow takes it down like right here as he's shooting at bullets, which is pretty crazy to think about, especially because, I mean, how does he not die to that thing, right? You think if he shot it right in front of him, it would just explode and it would kill him, but apparently not the case. And well, this is a pretty funny clip. I'll share the video from you guys of, which I came out from the flank last night with the Cellium making a guest appearance, most certainly. But intrigued to get your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really upside the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and have grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
He's FaceTiming me, dude.
Tell him that he's on stream, right?
No, I'm picking up now. MC's FaceTiming me, dude.
All right,
look
you
how happy
up.
Ben just got, dude. Did you see how happy Ben just got?
He gets really happy, bro. Tell him he's on stream. Tell him he's on stream, Ben.
Yeah,
MC, you're on stream, by the way.
And put the phone to the mic.
He's not 4. I'm on. First off, we're on the flank. Don't talk about this.
Did he just say he's on an edible?
I fucking told you.